Welcome to OpenExO Live. Really great to be with you here today. And this week we have Anna Simon from OpenExO, and we also have David, who is also from OpenExO, who's joining us today as well, which is pretty awesome. And before we get them up on stage, I have a few comments a few words that came from some of our community members. The first one comes from Soledad, and she just said, Anna's exponential mindset and willingness to do things are creating a positive impact, not only in Catalonia, but all over the world. Also, Anne Riley just said, Anna is an amazing asset for Catalonia, and she strives daily to create innovative and disruptive programs to help increase the competitiveness of Catalan companies. With her guidance and management, the Catalonia Exponential Initiative has brought disruptive thinkers, practical workshops, and funding programs to Catalan business leaders. A lifelong learner, Anna is a joy to work with and is a partner in the true sense of the word. I feel very fortunate to have worked with Anna and to call her a friend. We also have from Karina, Anna, David, and the OpenExO team have done an incredible job in Catalonia, from the awareness to training and mentoring. They are a reference point for other public institutions across the globe. And then lastly, from Diego, those of you who know Anna will agree that it's easy to speak well of her. I hold many precious memories of our interactions, but I would bring out her empathetic leadership and her skills as a manager within the public agency OpenExO for the competitiveness in Catalonia. Her track record shows an unparalleled commitment to the EXO movement. She stood out during her certification, soon after led a sprint during the pandemic that was a massive success and became a reference for multi-client EXO sprints. OpenExO has led several editions of the Exponential Day events, a must-go for entrepreneurs, and somehow Anna always does it elegantly with EXO Mojo. Now I'm curious to know what their next challenge will be. I have learned a lot from her and the whole team at OpenExO, David, Albert, Mark, Maria. Anyway, sorry about that, for their generosity. So those are some of the comments that came up. So without further ado, we'll bring up on stage both Anna and David. Anna, how are you doing this evening?
Hello, Kevin. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay. So very well, thank you. And thank you for having us today here. And thank you also for these readings you did before. That was a surprise, and I share it with all the team and OpenExO. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. How are you doing this evening, David?
Great, Kevin. Thank you for having us today.
It's more than a pleasure, and thank you for shouting at me in the private chat about being muted. It's the second time I've done it, and so it means I owe people a lot of exos within our community. But we like to start always by asking a little bit about the people that we're speaking to. So if you can just share a little bit, Anna and then David, a little bit about yourself and how you ended up joining the OpenExO community, getting involved in the EXO movement.
Okay, I begin, David. Okay. So as you know, we are we are working at OpenExO. This is the Agency for Business Competitiveness in Catalonia. I think both of us, we've been working for many years already at OpenExO, always in the innovation department. About myself, I've been at OpenExO. I've been embarking in different adventures since I've been there. And I think it's already 17 years, and I've been working in technology transfer with research groups at university, willing to work with companies, in talent exchange, international talent programs, different things. And the last, bringing innovation to our offices abroad. And the last adventure has been this transformation and disruption program called Catalonia Exponential. I studied environmental sciences, so this is one of my big interests, all about environmental issues. And I worked previous to Axio, because I'm already some ages now. I work with environmental consultancies in Austria and Germany, and then in Barcelona.
Awesome. And how about yourself, David?
I'm a telecom engineer. I started working at Axio, mainly helping companies to access EU funds for innovation. And then Europe started moving their funds towards the impact and towards the scaling up of the companies. And then once also Anna started the Catalonia Exponential project within Axio, and she invited me to join the program, and here I am.
Awesome. And so I can remember when I first met the two of you in person pre-COVID. I think it was just before the Exponential Day. Was that in 2019? Was it in 2019 or 2019?
Yeah, indeed.
In Barcelona. And so how did Axio actually get on this exponential journey? And maybe also just share a little bit about what Axio is, because maybe some people who are watching are saying, what is this Axio?
Mira, Axio is the Agency for Business Competitiveness in Catalonia, depending on the industry department. So we are like the executive arm to execute the competitiveness policy for the Catalan government. No? So our objective is to accompany our businesses to be more competitive. No, we do that through trade, attraction of foreign investment, and also through innovation policies. But everything began when we realized that everything is changing so fast, and we need to do something different and faster to help. We don't like to say to help, but to accompany and to make synergies with our companies, no? And then, as I mentioned before, we have offices abroad, formerly trade support offices, because that was the origin of our offices. And I think it was in 2014 that we began to put the innovation function in our offices, not to make them act as antenna to find international collaboration around R&D and innovation activities. And then our colleagues from Silicon Valley, from our offices in Silicon Valley, got inspired from the OpenExO methodology, Singularity University courses, etc. And in fact, what can you do in Silicon Valley? You have to do innovation, no? It's about innovation. Yeah. And our name in English is Catalonia Trade and Investment, no? And they were saying, we cannot go there saying we are Catalonia Trade and Investment. We need a brand, no? And maybe it should have something with an X, because everything here that has like Google X, etc., is the disruptive labs, etc. No, so they came with the idea to have Catalonia X, no, and then as a first step, we branded our disruption and transformation program, involving not only our offices abroad, but also many activities now in Catalonia for our companies here. In January 2019. Then came the first Exponential Day, as you were saying, in July 2019, with Salim Ismail and Francisco Palau as keynote speakers. We have made already three more, no? Because now we did the 2021 in October. And at that moment, when we were in reality, when we were dealing with this joint collaboration in the Exponential Day with OpenExO, we decided to train 4 people from Axio about how to use the EXO methodologies, not to create like a core team at Axio to make it bigger, not to make all this happen, no, because only with 1 or 2 persons is difficult. And then after the EXO training, then we piloted the EXO sprint with 2 Catalan companies that was mentioned by Diego, no, in the previously. And then we got established a core team of people to develop and implement all the activities related to business transformation and disruption. And now we are scaling these EXO sprints. We can explain you later. And also we have been keeping doing these EXO trainings inside at Axio. And I think, last Friday, we did a disrupt session for the 4th sprint. Each sprint has been involving 14 people from Axio headquarters in Barcelona and offices abroad. And I think now like 53 people has gone of Axio, of the staff of Axio, have gone through the EXO sprint, 5 weeks EXO sprint, but very, very interesting exercise.
Yeah, that's really awesome how just from like a small spark of seeing the disruption, which is so important, right? So many companies don't see that disruption, and so it's really awesome, that you did see that disruption. And what's really important is, of course, understanding that we can have we really can create something amazing, have a massive purpose, and make a change. And so I know that Axio, as you've said, it's more than just innovation, right? And it's an organization that understands that things are disrupting. And so over the time, have you been able to look at crafting what is the massive transformative purpose, or are there multiple massive transformative purposes that you're looking at building at Axio?
I was expecting this question. During these sprints, different MTPs, we came up with different MTPs, but one that we like most is there are powerful MTPs there, so we have to be to decide which one. Sometimes some are similar, but there is a phrase that is very strong for us, that is Catalonia impacts the world. Because it's massive. I think it's motivational for companies in Catalonia, or for agencies, or any other kind of institutions, and it talks about creating positive impact. We think it can create community around, and this would be our MVP. It's not official.
No, absolutely. Now, I mean, that is truly inspiring. And you mentioned how you've been running all these sprints, and obviously is this to essentially build a number of sort of like exponential leaders within Axio, and then beyond Axio into the the organizations within Catalonia.
Yeah, actually, we have a program that it's called Catalonia Exponential Leaders, and in there we want to highlight those companies in Catalonia that are an example for other companies to follow. Because when we started the first Exponential Day, Salim mentioned a lot of examples about companies from the US, from worldwide. And this year that we have organized the third Exponential Day, we obliged ourselves to talk about examples, local examples
Yes,
from
yes.
Catalan organizations. So last year in December, we launched the first call of the Catalonia Exponential Leaders. It wasn't the typical call for a prize to see which one is the best. We want to show examples. We don't want to say this one is the best, is better than the other one. We want to show each one which are the strengths that each one has, and that combined, some company can pick up the examples from all of them and become even stronger and even more resilient to the disruptions that are coming. And so this year in October, we showed 16 examples of Catalan exponential leaders, and we are relaunching the call now in 1 month. We will open again the call to increase this community of good disruptors in Catalonia.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And Anna, yes, did you have something to add there?
No, that we are especially happy with this process because we can talk now about examples in Catalonia, no? And also examples not only of new companies, of startups, but also of established companies came out. No? So we have now like examples like established companies like SEAT or other familiar company, very traditional in the meat sector, or other company, also very modest company of power energy that are running edge initiatives. So, and we have examples of these, real examples of this, and we love to have found these examples.
Absolutely. I mean, the one thing that, throughout the OpenExO community that is always asked, people are always asking, especially when someone from a new country joins, is, can you tell me about exponential organizations that are leveraging exponential in my country, or at least in my region? And it's actually part of the consultant certification now, and we built this list. I mean, it's a few hundred strong now of organizations across the world. This isn't only something that you're doing in Silicon Valley. That's very much for sure. Now, I see Mark Bonavia here has asked a question, which actually was going to be a question I was going to ask. So, Mark's asking, how would you describe the challenge of the immune system in public institutions, right? I was going to also just ask around, disruption in the public sector. And so what would you say to Mark's question here?
We love this question, Mark Bonavia, and we have a common aim here. We believe that what we say to companies, that competitiveness today means something different than 20 years ago. And they need to do things differently and to apply these EXO mindsets and others that are and new technologies and so on, new business models, but especially mindset. This also applies to public administrations. And so this also applies to agencies like Axio. So, and we want to be, to walk the talk, no? We want to do, to give example, to do what we say companies, they have to do also. Otherwise, we are not credible. So this is in our minds and in our hearts. And I think now it's something that the direction of Axio wants to do, but it's very, very hard. We have been talking about this with David and the team also, and it's of great debate, these things, no? Because transformation, if we compare companies and public administration, had maybe some easier things, but also other things that are much more difficult than companies, no? And the difficult part is that we are in a framework of different procedures and laws that give us not that much freedom to do some things, and neither in the pace we would like, in the rhythm we would like to do them, no? Because we have human resources processes, legal processes, financial, contracting processes. We need to plan. So when we want to improvise or to update without learnings and so on, it's difficult. We need to change a lot culture, but we have a lot of bureaucracy, and yeah, I'm sure in Axio, no, the top management at the first they would like to avoid this as much as possible. But this is a big thing. We have to see how. For sure, there will be possibilities to do things, but this is one of the main things we have to hack, no, somehow.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Anna, so you spoke a little bit about how you've been running these multiple sort of 5-week shortened sprints, and could you share a little bit more about them, and and some of the benefits you've seen there?
Okay, no, I would like to add something about, and maybe it's related to this, but there is a very interesting article of Steve Blank that is about innovation theater instead of actual innovation, and talks
Yes.
about this transformation in companies and in government organizations, no? And he does interesting parallelism. For companies would be to find the product market fit, and for government organizations would be to find the solution mission fit. So one of our aims would be also to of course, after having a powerful and known MTP, to work towards missions, no? Because from government, we have this is a power, no, a positive path, no. I talk about some difficulties, but this is a positive and very powerful tool to set these missions and to work towards challenges, no, to direct the forces of different companies working towards these challenges. Okay, but you were. I wanted to say this because we like very much talking about challenges and missions, and for government organizations, it's very important.
Absolutely, and what's really important at the end of the day is that you actually have real outcomes, right? I know that I've come across many programs across the world which it feels very much like it's just a theater production. It doesn't have real world outcomes, which is really unfortunate because, if we can have real world outcomes, and the one thing we definitely know is that, things like an EXO sprint, we've seen such great outcomes over the years that we've run them, in different institutions and companies, etc. So it is really, really, really exciting that we're able to do this and actually, make a massive impact. That's the main point, right? And so, you've said that the sprints have mostly been run within the Axio team, but obviously this extends beyond to Catalan companies. Is that right?
Yes, actually, we first piloted with 2 companies what would happen if they go through a 5-week sprint. One positive part of it was that we proved that the sprint was COVID resilient, because actually in our team, the last physical event that we organized was the awake of this pilot that we organized. And then on week 2, then the lockdown started, and we had to reorganize everything, and all events were on offline, and also all the services. So 2 companies piloted this 5-week sprint. Here, the main outcome that we got there were, for sure, the initiatives that they ideated, but also the mindset that was created to the participants of the sprint. This the magic that happens at the Disrupt session, when everyone is motivated, presenting their initiatives, and then listening to the disruptors with the feedback about the initiatives. And then we had the challenge about how to scale this, because we could pilot this, but we hired some coaches, and then we were helping with the certified team at Axio. We were helping also through all the process, but with our resources, we could do maybe 4, 5, 6 companies per year, and this is not enough. So this year we have decided to open a grants program where companies can apply, and they can get up to 15K to hire a coach to go through a similar process. They can use EXO Sprint or similar methodologies that help them to achieve this mindset and to ideate these disruptive solutions. And awesome. We are expecting this year we have had 1 million euro funding for the program, and we are expecting in total I think it's around 66 projects to be funded, 20 of which would be for the ideation part.
Awesome, that's really great to hear, and I mean, so inspiring that that we can do that we can drive exponential thinking, because ultimately we believe that's what's going to transform the world for a better future, right? Is when people believe that we can have abundance, we can drive we can leverage exponential technologies for good, we can make a massive impact. And the time has pretty much run out, and so I told you it would be quick. So I mean, thank you so much for joining us. If the both of you would like to just share, one last thing as we end out the call.
David.
Yeah, I would say I insist on the change of mindset that these methodologies create on the participants.
Awesome.
Okay, I would say, so believe and trust on people at any level. There's a lot of hidden potential when there is a growth mindset.
Absolutely, Anna. And to the both of you, thanks so much for being here and joining us. I really hope to see you in Barcelona in 2022. There are a few reasons to go to Barcelona, so it'd be really great to catch up again in person. I think 2022 we're going to start doing that more. And so thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you around.
Okay, you are welcome anytime.
Thank you, Kevin.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
So it was so great to have David and Anna from Axio in Barcelona. Do check out what they're doing. You can easily Google it and look at Catalunya Exponential as a great example of what's possible with the OpenExO, the EXO model. So thanks so much for joining us this evening. Next week, we have Azim from Malaysia, and so we're going to be a little bit earlier than normal, but do join us next week for the last OpenExO Live of the year.